What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Round 2 podcast. I am your host, Nikki Corbett, as you know, if you have been here for a while. And I am super excited to welcome you to the first solo episode of the year and the first of probably 12 or more solo episodes that are going to be happening this year. So if you've been following along, you might have heard me announce that this year I am going to be doing 6 episodes a month. 5 of them will be with guests, and then one at the end of every month will be a solo episode just for me, just to chat, to catch you up, to let you who are listening because you randomly found my podcast and you like it, get to know me a little bit better. And then also a little bit of a recap about what's gone on over the month with my guests, because I am so incredibly grateful. I have the best guests that are, coming on this show, telling their stories. And I'm just so excited for all that has been and everything that is on the path for 2025. So first, let's jump in and let's talk a little bit about the episodes that came out this month. We had 5 amazing episodes. We had Joel Oliver come on and talk about his path with his heart surgery when he was only 28 years old and how that's kind of led to the way he lives his life today and how he runs his business and everything that he's doing. And I think that there was so much to learn from that, because what I loved that he said was that now there's just some things that he can no longer do. And it's got him to a point where it's like a habit. So he can't do something anymore. So he just doesn't give it any thought. And he just goes on living his life with the things that he can do and the things that he can pursue. And he's so happy. And it was just so enjoyable to learn about him and share his story with everybody. Next up, we had Fadi Boulos. Okay, what he is doing is so inspiring to me because he is a citizen of Lebanon. He is an engineer by trade, incredibly well educated. And what he saw happening was that a lot of Lebanese engineers who were going out, getting schooling, wanting to be in technology, were having to move out of Lebanon in order to pursue the careers that they wanted because of their education. And so he was like, wait a minute, we don't want to be losing all of this great talent in our country, but also we don't want all of these amazing people to have to leave their families, their friends, where they wanted to build their lives and build their careers. So he created his company Supportful so he can place Lebanese talent with companies that are looking for remote engineers. And then the talent, the engineers can end up staying in their city, in their town, building their life, being close to their family, being close to their friends. And for me, that was really inspiring because I couldn't, when you think about it, just because you have a desire to do something career-wise, you shouldn't have to leave the country or city that you grew up in and ultimately want to be in. So I think what he's doing is just so incredibly inspiring. Next up, we had Adam House. I met Adam through LinkedIn, and he is just one of those guys that you meet and you instantly want to be friends with. He has a ton of confidence. He believes he can do anything because he certainly has done so many incredible things in his career and in his life. He's been married for over 20 years. He's got 4 boys. He's, I think, had 4 or so, 5, maybe more. Adam, don't kill me if I'm getting this wrong. Successful exits from different entrepreneurial ventures. And he even went and played semi-pro basketball when he was in his 30s, which he was definitely the old guy on the team. And those are his words, not mine. So that was a really great podcast. I loved talking with him. And he also has started a really cool community called House of Bricks that I am very proud to be a member of. So many great people in there. The networking is off the charts. So if you're interested in learning more about that, feel free to reach out to me. Next up was Courtney Johnson. If you do anything social media wise and you're on any of the platforms, it would be surprising if you haven't seen one of her videos come through your algorithm. She is so interesting to me because what I absolutely love about this day and age is that we can literally learn from anyone. She's 29 years old. She has so much insight into careers, into social media. She is definitely an expert in that space. But the way she figures things out and the way she goes after them, and then everything that she's figured out and everything that she's worked out, all she wants to do is share it. And that is what I think is so cool about her, because she figures something out and it works. And then she's like, I'm going to share this with everybody. So I'm now right in the middle of one of her, I guess courses is what you would call it. I did a LinkedIn course that she puts out a couple of times a year, or a few times a year, back in September. Totally changed the game for me as far as how I am putting myself out into the world on LinkedIn, but also how I started treating this podcast as more of a business versus a hobby, even though it still is my most favorite hobby. And then right now I'm in her content creation course that it's its beta version. And I'm so excited that I jumped on the opportunity to get in this with her because, excuse me, we're only on day 3. I'm having so much fun and I've met some really cool people as a result. And it still is like 17 more days to go. So I'm so excited to see where we are on the other side of this. And then last but certainly not least, my final guest of January was Tait. He is such a fun guy. He's really sharp. We had a really interesting conversation about the way he's running his business. He is in accounting, but not traditional accounting. He will even tell you, he's like, I made something boring cool. And we talked a little bit about being selfish and how being selfish is a good thing. And that is honestly something I have been preaching for years and years and years. So that was enjoyable to hear somebody else kind of echo how I have approached life for quite some time. So if you haven't listened to all of those episodes, they're in your podcast app. So go ahead and take a listen. So the other things that I wanted to do with these solo episodes was just give a little bit more information about myself, talk a little bit about what I'm up to these days. As some of you may know, I sold my house over the summer and I sold most of my stuff as well. So that was like a really big change and it was really exciting and not really scary actually, because once I made the decision, I knew that it was the right one. The stuff that I did keep is currently living in a bedroom at my brother's house, much to his delight. No, honestly, it's actually been really great being able to stay there when I am in town and getting to spend more time with him. And then it's also nice to have somewhere safe that I know my stuff is hanging out at, even though it's really not much stuff. It's mostly just a lot of clothes. But yeah, so when I sold my house over the summer, I left for Europe and I was in Europe almost for 3 months. I had a little bit of travel on both ends, and then I spent the majority of it in Thessaloniki, Greece, which is truly my favorite place in the world. I had so much fun. I learned so much about myself while I was there. I spent a lot of time, just kind of learning how to manage myself, if that makes sense. I've always been a pretty good self-starter, but I definitely, doing things on your own and working for yourself is a different level of self-management and a different level of self-starting. So I feel like I got in some really great habits while I was there. I had a lot of fun also while I was there. I met some incredible people while I was there. But ultimately, after I got there for about a week, I realized that I was there to get to work. And so that's where a lot of this podcast really started rolling. That's where I had people reaching out to me who wanted to be on the show. And like I said, I started treating it like a business and it's been so much fun and so enjoyable. This last month, I have been wandering around the UK. It has absolutely flown by. I'm recording this. This will come out on, I think, the 29th. Yeah, the 29th of January. I'm recording it on the 22nd of January. So it is very as real time as we can get. And it's been such a cool month. It has flown by. I am in awe that it's gone by so quickly. But I'm someone that is very particular with time and energy, especially when it comes to New Year's Eve and my birthday. So those are 2 dates where I find the passing of time to be incredibly significant. New Year's Eve, I always like to make sure that the energy I'm surrounded with is positive and in alignment with what it is that I want and my goals and my thoughts for the coming year. And then my birthday as well. I really just like to turn that page with people that I love. So when we got closer to New Year's for 2024 to 2025, I had been back in California with my family for the holidays and it was wonderful. But I was really like, you know what? I'm not feeling being here in Sacramento for another new year. And I just wanted to shake things up a lot. So I started looking at the map and thinking about like, where is it that would make sense for me to go and what would I like to do and what else would I like to see? I had already decided that I did want to be traveling for the month of January, but I wasn't completely dialed in on to where. So I started thinking about London and I was like, you know what? I've only been to London one time. It was in 2015. So it was definitely a long time ago. And there's just something about London that like kind of sparked my interest. And I thought, you know what? This could be great energy. So why don't I do that? So then as I more, started looking at the map and started like thinking about all of the different places that I could go, I realized that I also have been nowhere else in the UK or Ireland. So I decided this is what I'm going to do. So I flew over on the 29th, got here on the 30th, spent a few days in London, spent New Year's Eve in London. It was so much fun. Like, I am so grateful that I did that. I had found a Reddit thread, which is funny because I'm like, I've turned into this Reddit person where I love looking to Reddit for inspiration and for recommendations. Somebody in London had put together a long list of events that were going on for New Year's. And as I started researching different ones, and this person was so great too, because they even like listed out like, this would be great for families. This would be great for singles. This would be great if you want like to be able to just wear like jeans and sneakers and drink pints all night. Or this would be great if you want to be fancy. So it was really nice because then I could kind of click through and decide like, okay, let me research a little bit more about this. Well, I happened to find one that was a, kind of like Gatsby, themed party. And it was only 4 blocks from my hotel. So the ticket was very nominal. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to just buy the ticket. I'm going to bring something to wear. I'm going to go. And if it sucks, I can go back to the hotel because the hotel was having a New Year's event. So I thought, who cares? Worst case scenario, I'm out, $50. So I ended up going. They served amazing champagne, by the way. Like, that's one of those things that's so interesting about like being over here versus being at home. Like, think about it. If you're in the US and you buy a ticket for a party and it says like glass of champagne included, you're probably either getting like cheap La Marca Prosecco or you're getting like Cook's that comes in those massive, huge bottles from Costco. Like, tell me I'm wrong, right? So I was shocked because they were literally pouring Billicart as part of the included glass of champagne. So that glass by itself, because I did end up getting another one, was 17 pounds. The ticket was 55 pounds. So I'm like, wow, that's amazing. And also very chic. And I loved it. So I ended up meeting some really cool girls simply because we were commenting on each other's outfits. And when they heard me start talking and they realized I was American, they asked me like what I was doing and why I was there. And I told them, I just wanted something different. And then when they realized I was alone, they were like, well, why don't you hang out with us? So I did. And they were so fun. We drank, we danced. The bar was so neat. It was in or near the West End, which is basically like New York City's Broadway. And it so all the people that work there, or a lot of the people that work there, were people who are West End actors. So that was so neat because they would jump up on tables and just start singing, and they had incredible voices, amazing energy. It was so fun. So that's where I rang in the new year, and I totally loved it. What was funny that I learned that night was that I now am at a point in my life where I do not like being bumped into. And, you get bumped into as the night goes on and people get a little looser. So after the third time I got bumped into, I was like, you know what? It is officially time for me to leave. So I sent myself back to the hotel, ate some chips in bed, watched some comedy. And I think I slept till like 2 because my jet lag was so bad, like 2 p.m. the following day. But it was amazing. It was so much fun. From there, I went on to the very charming, cute little city of Bath. I spent a few days there. It snowed one night when I was walking home from dinner. So that was really cool because I'm not a big snow person, but feeling the snow as I was walking home was nice. After that, I went to the Cotswolds. Now, think the holiday if you don't know what the Cotswolds are, but it's very the holiday coded. I ended up in a very cute little village called Winchcombe. I looked it up and the population is about 4,500. It was super, super cute. I got a very charming little cottage. I wasn't feeling 100% while I was there. So it was kind of nice to just have the time to relax and not feel like I was just like stuck in a small hotel room. Like the cottage had a upstairs where the bedroom and the bathroom were, and then the downstairs was like the family room and the kitchen. So, and it was nice to be able to go to the grocery store and just like get food to just be able to eat at the house versus like feeling like I had to go and sit in a restaurant every night. So I did really enjoy it. Unfortunately, what I learned was that a few days after Christmas, in some of these small villages, a lot of things shut down. So there were certain restaurants that had, handwritten signs in the window that basically said like, "Hey, we're shut down from, January 4th until February 4th for like maintenance and rest and all the things." So I didn't get to do as much as I had hoped. There's a steam train that does originate in that town and it goes to some of the other villages. And I had really planned on doing that so I could see more than one village in the Cotswolds. But unfortunately, I wasn't able to do that. So that's okay. At least I got to experience it and it was nice to just chill and relax. So, there's always next time. And now I know. See, that's the thing with traveling. It's like you don't know until you get there. You don't know until you actually know. Every time I've ever gone anywhere, I've created this scene in my mind of what it's going to be like. And then I get there and all of that goes completely out the window because it's one of two things. It's either exactly like I had envisioned, like within, a little bit of wiggle room, or it's nothing like I had envisioned. And I'm like, oh, I either really don't like this or, oh my God, this is exceeding my wildest expectations. But at the end of the day, like once you're there, then and then you can be like, oh, well, here's what I would do different next time. Or here's the advice I would give now that I know that I've been there and I've done this. Or, oh my God, I nailed this and I can't wait to go back. So definitely now I know like that time of year is probably not the best time if you want to be able to utilize the, public transportation to get from one village to another. So, it's all good. After that, one thing that I definitely need to share, I did share this on Instagram, but I have been navigating the train system throughout this region absolutely flawlessly. Now, it could have to do with a number of things. One, it could have something to do with it, like I'm more aware of trains after the debacle that was Poland in August. Two, it could be because everything is in English because these are English-speaking countries. Or three, I could be getting lucky. I'm guessing it's probably a combination of all of them, but I am very happy to report that I have not had any train issues and all the trains have been quite nice. So I've been really enjoying being a train rider while I have been over here. So yes, I took the train from the Cotswolds up to Liverpool and did something that I've got to be honest is very unlike me. I stayed with somebody that I had never met in person, and I ended up staying for an entire week. Now, let me explain. So I am what some of my friends would call very particular, and I will own that. I know I am particular. I have like ways that I like things to be done. I like doing things certain ways. I like my routines. I like my personal space. So I'm not someone that likes to go on like say a big bachelorette party, for example, and stay in a house with 10, 12 other people, the majority of whom I probably don't know. That's just not me. It's not who I am. there are only a few people that I actually like or would consider sharing a hotel room with for more than one night. So for me to say, yeah, I'll come and stay with you, friend that I met on LinkedIn, that's kind of a big deal. But here's the coolest thing that happened. You know, when you meet somebody and then you meet them in person and you hug them and you just feel like you're hugging an old friend, like that's literally what happened. So I met Melissa on LinkedIn. She had reached out to me because she saw my podcast and she was like, hey, I want to come on and talk and tell my story and talk about my business. So we did that. Her episode came out back in November. And then when I had planned this trip, I knew that she was living in Liverpool. So I was like, hey, I think I'm going to head that way. And she was like, oh my God, come stay with us. So her and her boyfriend, they have a phenomenal apartment, incredible views. They definitely had this space. She was like, you'll have your own room, your own bathroom, which that totally was so kind. And it totally made me feel more comfortable with going to stay with somebody that I hadn't met. And to be perfectly honest, if that hadn't been the case, I probably would have opted for a hotel just because I do like having my own space. But I went there kind of just open-ended. I thought, well, I'll either stay for like a night or two, or I'll stay, a little longer depending on like what we're up to. Well, we had so much fun and we ended up we have just great conversations and we talked a lot about business stuff. We talked a lot about our careers. We just brainstormed a lot, came up with some really great ideas for both of us. Her boyfriend is a super sharp guy. We had awesome conversations. Like I learned a lot from him. So it was just really, really neat to spend that time. And I ended up staying for a whole week. Like, what? So it was awesome. So from there, I ended up flying over to Ireland. I took the train from Liverpool to Manchester, which was did that. Then I flew from Manchester to Shannon, Ireland, and I took a bus. Oh, I'm not a bus girl. I took a bus from Shannon to Galway. Can I just tell you how amazing Galway is? I am obsessed. I love it. It was like so charming. It was like, had this like cozy sea, want to just sit in a cottage with a fire blazing and like look out the water vibes. So many cute pubs that have like traditional Irish music playing in them. Oh my God. The last night I was there, I went to this pub that was super old. Like everybody that I met was like, you need to go to Crane Bar. You need to go to Crane Bar. They said even the Guinness tastes better there, like all the things. It was so cool. The music was amazing. There was this band. One of the guys in the band was 81 years old. He was playing the banjo. He sang a cappella. I mean, it was just such a cool experience. And they were right. The Guinness there was so good. So good. So anyway, loved it. Absolutely loved it. Then I took the train to Dublin. What was interesting about Dublin wasn't that like I'm a city girl. Like I will tell you like through and through, I am a city girl. I love being in a city. For some reason, I'm not in a city mood right now, like a big city mood. I mean, don't get me wrong. I loved London for New Year's, but by the time I got to Dublin, I was like, man, I really want to be back in a smaller city or town or village. I just wanted something smaller. So I stayed there for a couple of nights. I did enjoy wandering around. I had a couple of great drinks, met some really cool people, but ultimately I was just like, you know what? It's time for me to move on. So I hopped on the train yesterday morning and I came to Northern Ireland, which the train ride was stunning. And that's where I am sitting and recording this episode from now. It's very cute. I'm in Belfast. Very cute. I walked around a lot. I walked around most of the city today. I still have some places that I need to explore a tad more tomorrow. So planning on doing that. And yeah, I just really like it. I love seeing places that I've never been. I love like walking the streets and kind of like observing the people and seeing what everyone's doing and what people are wearing and how they interact with one another. And obviously I love the food. I love trying new foods. And I love the pub culture over here. It's so just awesome because so many of them are so old and they still light real candles inside, and there's a lot of wood and there's things on the walls that have been there for like 60 years, and the music that plays, and there's real fireplaces with, like, earlier it was literally not that cold this morning. When I got up this morning and went out to get a cup of coffee, it was like 8 a.m. I was like, oh, it's not that cold. It actually feels really good. By the time I was walking around at 2 p.m. this afternoon, I was frozen to the bone. So I went into this pub. I think it was actually the oldest pub in Belfast, sat down next to a real fireplace and warmed up. It was just freaking awesome. So by the time this podcast comes out, I will have moved on to Scotland. I'm leaving for Scotland in a couple of days. I'm going to spend a couple of days in the Scottish Highlands, which I am so excited about. Like, I cannot. If you don't follow my Instagram account, you should, because I will be definitely posting all about that there. And then I'm going to end this adventure and this month wandering the UK in Edinburgh, which, okay, when I decided to go to Edinburgh, I had literally never seen one picture of it. I just knew it was like a big city in Scotland. So then, of course, my TikTok algorithm starts showing me TikToks of Edinburgh. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? This place looks so cool. So I'm really, really excited to explore, eat. Obviously, I love churches. I haven't mentioned that, but I am such a church person. I love going in churches. I love the stained glass. I love the arches. I love the materials that churches are built with. I actually went to church the other night in Galway. I went to a Catholic service. I hadn't been there in years, but it was really great to just experience it. So I'm excited to see the churches that are in Edinburgh because they look very Gothic and very like Batman-esque, and I'm so excited. And I'm sure somebody will hear me say Batman-esque and probably like tell me I'm a moron, but whatever. So anyway, I have literally talked. This is almost 30 minutes and I've just been yapping. No wonder my cheeks are like, yo, what is happening? But anyway, so these solo episodes at the end of every month are going to just be like this. It's going to be a little recap, and it's going to be a little like, where is she now? What is she up to? What am I doing? What am I thinking? What's going on in my life? And that's kind of that. And I'm excited. I want you guys to get to know me better. I want to share more about what I'm doing. I am going to spend some time in February, so that'll be a nice update for the February solo episode. I'm exploring some other parts of the United States and kind of figuring out, like, where is it that I may want to have a home? Because right now I don't have a home of my own. I mean, obviously, if you ask my family, they would be like, of course, her home is with us, which is so true, and I'm so grateful for that. But like, I literally don't have a permanent address right now. And I love it. It's so wild to me that like this is where my life has gone. I am so happy and I'm so excited. And I'm so looking forward to what 2025 has in store. So if you have been a guest on this show, just know how grateful I am for you, because it's because of you that I am doing this with such passion and such gusto. And I am so excited to continue to tell these amazing stories about people who are business owners, entrepreneurs, and people that have, decided to make big life changes, and some people who have made life changes because life said, hey, you're changing. What is interesting is that a lot of times those life changes turn people to entrepreneurship. So Round 2 podcast is such an interesting blend of very cool stories and very, very cool people. So again, my gratitude is endless for everybody who has been on this show and for everyone who is teed up to come on this show over the coming year. So thank you as always for being here, for being a listener, for sharing your thoughts. I'm excited to see where we are at the end of 2025, but I'm not wishing it to go by quickly because the good stuff is in the middle. And so I'm excited for all that is to come. So as always, thank you for listening. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I am working really hard on growing my subscriber base there because I just am, because I know that it's a great medium for sharing content. So if you haven't followed me over there, I would love it if you would. And then also, if you are a listener on Apple or Spotify, if you would not mind leaving a review, that really, really helps with the algorithms. It helps with how Apple and Spotify suggest podcasts to other people when they're in the apps. So the more reviews, the better. And I would just, appreciate it so much. So thank you. And I hope you enjoyed, and we will talk to you next week.